Hi everyone, and welcome to Lake Oswego United Church of Christ. My name is Adam Erickson, and I am here today with John. Hi John.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Awesome. Well, thank you for being with us and sharing part of your life with us.
Sure, happy to be here.
So I wanted to ask John three questions just to get to know him a little better. First, John, what was church like for you growing up?
Well, the church was really the center of my family's life, social life, religious life, community life. I grew up in a Presbyterian church. We went to First Presbyterian Church downtown Portland, and church was kind of a second home for me. We attended family camp every year. We did went to lots of potlucks. I sang. Everybody in my family sang in the choir except my dad, and my dad was on the session, and so we were very involved in the life of the church, and it was clear to me, particularly as I got to be older in high school, the global impact that the church had was, I think, the thing that really created had a big impact on me. The fact that the church had a global presence and was involved in social justice issues and was involved in ministering to the poor and the oppressed was really influential on me and my thinking as I grew older. The church was, as I said, a second home for me. One of the things I always remember this and this is always something I hope my children, I could replicate for my children. But the church itself became an exploration place for me. Like, I remember when I was a kid, we used to be able to crawl from the basement of the church all the way up to the very top of the sanctuary, in the back, like in between the walls. Like we all knew this little secret passageway that would get us all the way up to the top. So when our parents were looking for us down after church, we could crawl all the way up to the top, and we could crawl all the way back down, and nobody would know where I was. So the church had that kind of impact on me as such integral part of my life as I was growing up.
Wow. So there was a justice element that really spoke to you as a child.
Well, and more than as I got older, when I got into high school, I was a youth delegate to the Presbyterian General Assembly when I was in high school, and the opportunity there for me was to see the gathering of the global church, and hear about the mission work that's being done in other countries. That was the first time I'd heard about apartheid and heard from people from South Africa that were talking about it. It was one of the first times I'd heard about the Israel-Palestine issue. So it was a really chance for me to see, this thing that I'm part of, that's part of my inner circle and my family, also has this global presence in the world and is doing really good work in the world. So it was a pretty doing that in high school was really had a huge impact in terms of the way I saw what the church could do in the world.
This was formative for you in such a way that you decided to go on to seminary later and get ordained.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that I developed a love of the church as a youngster in high school that really had an impact on me growing up throughout my life. And when I graduated from college, I considered going to seminary. I was a religious studies minor, considered going to seminary, but at the time it just didn't seem right. And I knew that someday in my life the time would seem right, and that I would kind of get this urge or this call to go to seminary. And so that's kind of what happened. It just took 30 years or so for that to happen.
So what does faith mean to you today?
Faith to me, I think that one of the challenges, particularly in our world today, is to hold on to the sense of the work of the divine in the world, and finding ways to hold on to that. It seems it's very hard to look at the world today and just not see where God is. And faith, to me, is the thing that kind of sustains me in those those dry moments. Those moments when I'm feeling like, God, where are you? Where is your presence? Faith is the thing that is undergirding my heart and my mind, that assures me that God is present and that God is there in the good and the bad, and that's that solid kind of rock of my spiritual life.
It's refreshing for me to hear you say that, because a lot of people assume that those who go through seminary and get ordained, well, they just don't have any dry moments when it comes to faith.
Yeah, no, that's so.
They're the spiritual superstars or something like that. Mm-hmm. But we go through these dry moments, these moments of doubt, faith, throughout our lives. It's just true. Like everyone else.
No, it's absolutely true, and I think that I saw that among my colleagues when I was in seminary. It's something that happens in ministry all the time. Even people who are established ministers go through these periods where they're not sure, where God is, where God's presence is. Ministers tend to think and live at the edge of human lives, in terms of, particularly ministers, the good things and the bad things that are happening to people. And so I think we tend to experience those things more than maybe others do. I'm not saying me particularly, because I'm not in a parish or I'm not in a church, but I know people who are in churches tend to feel that way. And I think that what seminary did provide me with was, first of all, an understanding that I'm not alone in having those struggles, that people throughout history have had those struggles and had those moments of doubt. And second of all, given me the tools to kind of reflect on that, the tools to feel safe in my faith, and the tools to understand that questioning and doubt is an integral part of the faith journey. And that just because I'm questioning the existence of God's work in the world doesn't mean necessarily that I can no longer consider myself Christian, or that my faith is gone. It's questioning is an important part. And in a way, questioning is how we grow in our faith. If we don't question our faith at some point, then we can't grow in it.
And it's so biblical. After all, the name Israel means one who struggles with God.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So the Bible is full of these stories of faith and doubt and struggling with God.
Yeah, and I think even Jesus, the number of times that Jesus, the Gospels give us a few snapshots of Jesus' life, but we don't see the other stuff that was going on, and we don't see the story. We don't see the times that Jesus goes is by himself. They talk a lot about Jesus went off to be by himself. Jesus was out in the wilderness. Jesus was went off by himself in the Garden of Gethsemane. And all through his life, he certainly had these moments. And I actually believe that that there's a lot about Jesus that we don't know and that we don't understand, because the nature of the stories that we get are the stories of Jesus' interaction with the people who ended up telling the stories. So we don't know, we don't hear the struggles that Jesus had, except the few times that they talk about Jesus being tempted in the wilderness or whatever. We don't hear about the struggles, but clearly I think Jesus did have many struggles and questions of doubt, and I think that is where Jesus' faith in God was strong, but that didn't prevent him from having doubt, even in really serious times. In the Garden of Gethsemane, his big moment of doubt. So I think it's important. It's integral to how we grow as Christians. So I think it's just an important part of the way we think. And being open to doubt and questions is, I think, really important. Living the questions is really what we try to do.
I think we get in big trouble when we start suppressing doubt. And start thinking, we can't talk about it, which is one of the things that I appreciate about this church.
Right. Yeah.
which leads us into our final question. So, what does Lake Oswego United Church of Christ mean to you?
Well, when my family and I moved here last summer, we looked around at churches we looked at all the UCC churches in the area and said, well, let's try one every week and see which one we like the best. And because this was closest to where we were living, we came here first. And then it was like, well, we don't need to go anywhere else, because this church had, first of all, it was very inviting, very warm church. People were very generous and kind to us when we first came here. Made us feel really welcome without kind of overwhelming us, I've been in churches where you visit the first time and they say, oh, it's nice to meet you. You should sing in the choir. Or, you could be on a board.
Yeah, we have a committee for you.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not, And I respect the fact that this church waited for a while to really ask us those questions. And I think it's important that the church do get those kind of commitments from people. But I think people need to have some time to adjust. This church also had a very serious commitment to social justice issues. The rotating shelter that the church has been part of, to us, was like the first thing we said, oh, this church actually puts feet on the ground and really does try to do social justice work and try to get people involved. The variety of different things that the church was involved with was really important to us as well. So it was really kind of the clear thing. Oh, this is definitely where we should go. Our children were welcomed quite warmly into this community, and my daughter and our 14-year-old child both were welcomed with open arms, and the church has been very supportive of us as we've gone through our adjustment to living back here in Oregon after many years away. So it's been a really great community for us to be part of, and we're pretty grateful for the gift that we've been given to be part of this community.
Well, you have been a gift to the community and a blessing for us, so I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you.
So, thank you, John, for being with us and
No problem.
sharing your story.
No problem. Thank you.